Hey guys, what's up? I'm going to be talking in this video about why most guides on YouTube will not help you climb in solo queue. Now, in terms of my credentials, I've been coaching since 2015. I've been challenger in solo queue also since 2015. I've coached teams such as Gripcha in the Ultra Liga First Division, NGX in MENA First Division, and Evil Geniuses in America. So I've been coaching for quite a while. Ironically, I've also been coaching for Pro guides and skill kept as well quite a while ago. So those are actually the videos I'm going to be covering in this video. Two videos I'm going to be going over are this video by Pro Guides and this video by skill kept. Both are very popular, and I'm going to be going over some points that I've highlighted watching this video on my own. So now we have this video here by Pro Guides, which is talking about fast pushing. So basically the act of a wave being neutral and you just push in the wave as fast as possible. So let's listen to the video together.
To use it, you want to start a fast push if you want to recall or impact the map by roaming.
So I'm just going to stop him right there. He said that you want to fast push if you want to recall or impact the map by roaming. Now let's talk about both situations. So let's say I'm playing mid lane. Right, let's say I'm playing Z mid and I want to recall. The way that I would recall if I'm playing against an Akali mid lane is going to be very different to the way that I want to recall if I'm playing against let's say an Aurelia who has really good wave control. Already I'm in a situation where the way that I want to approach these two matchups in terms of my wave management changes in order to set up recalls. And even then, the matchup is not the only variable which influences how you want to shove the wave, if you want to roam or if you want to recall. So for example, let's say that I want to roam bot lane and dive bot lane. Let's say I have a Draven bot lane and I have wave control, so I can actually get prow whenever I want to get prow, and the enemy's in Aphelios, so I want to dive bot. If my bot lane is slow pushing the wave, I want to crash this mid wave a bit earlier than my bot lane crashes, so I have time to go bot lane as the wave is crashing. But if I'm going to take this information and apply it to my game, I'm going to shove mid, I'm going to run bot lane, my Draven is still pushing the wave, and now I'm bot at the wrong timer. So I'm either going to be in a position where I'm sitting mid lane and I give Akali enough time to push and move, or I'm going to give up a mid wave and plates for this dive, instead of it being a situation where I slow push mid lane and then I crash the wave at a similar time to my Draven, so I can actually be bot lane at the correct timer. So this already is incorrect. This is incorrect. And this is also incorrect because there are too many variables to influence both of these decisions. Now, variables is the theme of this video. You're going to hear me talking about it a lot. So let's carry on with the video.
Or to pressure your opponent and deny CS if they're a champion like Anivia who can't farm under turret early.
So already I'm like, what is this? Because he's saying that you want to pressure your opponent and deny them CS if they're playing a champion like Anivia. Which, first of all, I will say that Anivia can farm under turret completely fine by using her E and setting up the wave before it crashes. So you're not really denying her anything. Secondly, it's very hard for you to pressure champions like Anivia. I think Anivia was a horrible example. Maybe he should have said Kassadin, because there's not many champions in the game that are going to pressure Anivia under turret early. And also, let's say I'm a silver player and I read this and I say, okay, if I'm playing against Anivia, I should fast push the wave and harass them on the turret. 80% of the time, you're just going to get ganked. Because, like I said, it's very contextual. Unless I'm playing Ziggs mid lane, right? I'm not going to pressure an Anivia on the turret. So this is also completely just almost misleading, right? If I'm a silver player and I read this, I might now lose games because of this information. But most importantly, slow pushing is simply superior if we're going to follow this logic. If we're going to follow the logic of a champion like Enivia, who I'm assuming he means weak early game, if we're going to follow the logic of I'm going to harass a weak early game champion, such as Kassadin, which is probably the appropriate example, then slow pushing is the best way to do it, not fast pushing. If you want to harass the enemy on the turret and take plates, you should almost always slow push the wave. Now, just to talk about a few of the other reasons, for example, to set up a dive with your jungler or the enemy laner, this is extremely incorrect. This is not just incorrect, this is misleading, because this is telling you that you should fast push to set up a dive. This is wrong. You should almost always slow push to set up a dive, unless you are afraid that the enemy jungler or support is going to come and stop you from diving. And that's the only time where you should shove the wave really quickly to dive. So this is just extremely incorrect. Slow pushing is almost always superior here. And that's the point, right? Is that a lot of the time in League, slow pushing is just better than fast pushing. And understanding when it's better to fast push versus slow push versus freeze depends on a lot of variables. Now let's go to the next point where he talks about fast pushing. Now in this part of the video, it talks about why and reasons why you should slow push. So for example, this reason here, where it says, with the pressure of a bigger wave, you can play aggressively and deny farm. Now, let's say I take this information now and I lock in Kassadin into Darius. I slow push a wave, just as the video tells me to do, and I decide now that I want to harass and deny farm from this Darius mid lane with Ignite. 9 out of 10 times I will die solo. And the only other exception is that the Darius DC'd. So realistically, giving these solutions and reasons why you should slow push or fast push or freeze, it is very hard to give out these reasons unless you include all of the variables which will influence you to do such things. Now, if we take this video as an example, this is a skill cap video. Now you can watch it on your own, but what he says is that if you're playing top lane and the enemy does Drake, you should fast push. It's talking about fast pushing right now, and it says that you should fast push if the enemy does Drake, because you should be afraid of the enemy jungler if the enemy jungler hasn't shown on the map, or you should simply fast push the wave if you're scared of the enemy jungler being there, which is just complete BS, because if this is your wave state, where the wave is even, and you're scared of being ganked, the last thing you want to do is fast push a wave which is already neutral, because what's going to happen is if the enemy jungler is there, Urgot's going to contest you on this wave and you're going to die. What you're supposed to do, if you think you're getting ganked, is let the Urgot push into you. And it doesn't give you any information. So this video doesn't talk about what wave state should you do X and Y in. What should you do if your wave is slow pushing and you feel like you're going to get ganked? What should you do if your wave is freezing and you think you're going to get ganked? What should you do if your wave is neutral? What is the matchup? What are the variables within the game which influence this decision? And that is the most important part when it comes to these videos which talk about wave management. You have to talk about all the variables which will influence the decision that you will take. Now, this video is too long for me to review. If you guys want me to do a full review once on a video, I don't really mind doing that, but it's going to take too long for me to do within this video. But the rest of the video basically talks about a bunch of BS. It's repetition of the previous points where it gives you X information, but X information has Z, Y, B, and C variables which influence this decision. And it doesn't talk about these variables. It just talks about the result, which is X. So that's the problem with these videos, is that the good thing is that it does teach you how to create a freeze, how to slow push, even though it gives you a lot of incorrect information during the process, but you will learn methods of freezing and slow pushing, but it doesn't tell you how to use it, which makes it completely pointless for solo queue, because if you're playing solo queue, you want to use wave management to your own advantage, not to your disadvantage. And in a lot of these videos, they teach you wave management in a way that can sometimes create a disadvantage for you. So if you don't know how to control your wave, you might end up screwing yourself over a lot of the time without even realizing it. So that's why I say that these videos are useless for solo queue. Now to recap, the main reason why it's bad to talk about concepts in this way is because you may mislead a player into making a play which is actually bad. So these videos explain how, and when they talk about why, they give too general advice which cannot be applied to every situation. The most important way to understand wave management is to understand what variables influence the decision to control your waves. And these can be variables such as your matchup, your jungle matchup, your bot lane wave state, your HP, all this kind of stuff will influence it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making a video on the variables which influence how you want to control your wave. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope this was useful to you all, and I'll see you all next time.